lookers, welcome back to another bite-sized edition of Look Behind the Look. Today we are diving into one of the defining films of the 90s, The Bodyguard, starring Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. Where were you when you first saw it? To this day, you cannot go anywhere without hearing Whitney's I Will Always Love You.
Will always love you.
Written by Dolly Parton, and while the entire world will never forget her voice, most of you may not know some of the behind-the-scenes facts that brought this film to life. This episode is extra special because I had the chance to sit down with industry legend and Academy Award-winning makeup artist Vali O'Reilly. We discussed everything from how she got the job to the products that she used on Whitney, and we even saw some treasures from the film that she hung on to over 30 years later. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did.
So what had happened, that was on another movie, and they had somebody, I guess, that was working on The Bodyguard doing Whitney's makeup. And then I got a call from her manager saying, who I'd worked with a lot, saying, what are you doing? And I said, I just finished a movie. Tomorrow is my last day. She's like, can you come and do Whitney for this? Because we need to make some changes. So I said, are you kidding? Of course. So she came to the set of the other job I was on, and the producer was a friend of mine, and I asked him, it was a Paul Mazursky movie. I said, would you mind if we kept because it means keeping Teamsters there longer. I said, would you mind if we kept the Teamsters just for an hour? Because Whitney Houston's going to come by and I'm just going to do a meet and greet and do a test on her.
Oh my God.
And he was like, yeah, no problem. And, everybody else that was in the trailer are like, oh my God, we get to see Whitney Houston. So we did we talked and did a little bit of a test, and she's like, yeah, you're my girl. So then I took the job.
What do you remember about putting the look together for the Queen of the Night? What?
Well, I remembered, we did some makeup tests, and, basically we used a lot of fashion fair stuff because those were only good colors.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I kind of wanted, because a lot of people, when they made up the Black actresses back then, they did kind of a very heavy makeup. They do lashes, and it was just like for real life, like somebody walking around in their home. They're not going to look like they were in a music video.
Yeah.
I pretty much to offset her glamour looks, I kept her looking, tried to make her look as natural, but she still was a music icon, her character. So she still had to look nice. But we kind of downplayed it. We didn't use lashes until those performances. I used a lot of kohl pencil on her because it seemed to work. She had really pretty eyes, and she just was really pretty.
That makes it easier. And I was like, I know that lipstick, I know what that lipstick is, and I have to ask I need confirmation. And so I'm wondering if it was Ruby Woo.
Oh, the red? Actually not.
Okay.
Not. It was,
wow.
Remember, I don't know, you're too young, but I don't know but the Shiseido used to make these lipsticks that were in these red tubes that were long.
Yes.
80s and 90s, and they were matte on one end and kind of glossy on the other. So it was a Shiseido red. And then I actually, that's why that was before anybody had their own makeup lines. It was, it wasn't a MAC color. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I thought for sure I could be cool enough to call that one, but
people, once they discontinued, like there was like a big thing on with all the makeup artists in LA anyway, I think even in New York too, people just rushed to the Shiseido counters and people were buying up the lipstick colors were so amazing. I still have like a little teeny vitamin case where I scooped out the colors and I keep it in my fridge, and they're still good.
I love that.
They did like a really good brown, and they did a really good orange. So
Because I remember the era where we were putting powder on our lips and then putting like a lacquer over it. Do you remember? Like it was a two-step process was a big thing. It was
well, if you want to matte a lipstick, what you can do, like I take a tissue and I tear it in because tissues are usually kind of 2 layers.
Right.
I like open it up and then you can just put it over the lips and then take a little bit of like a pressed powder and it sets it and it'll matte it. Have this.
Oh, look at that. Stop it. Oh my God, what a treasure.
So she gave me this from the Bodyguard. She gave this to me as a gift.
What a treasure. Oh.
It's never been worn.
You need to wear this every day from now on. That is so fabulous. Oh, that's fabulous. Oh.
It's just, and a lot of times when people give me gifts, they spell my name wrong. So I was just happy that. But yeah, it was really great.
It's spelled correctly there.
I was looking for makeup to show because I did use all the Nakeds by Ultima, which, a lot of those colors, like a friend of mine in New York helped create it. But they were before Kevin had his line. They were like the Nakeds by Ultima.
Yep.
But while I was digging to try to find the makeup, there was too much to dig through because I just got back from being out of town yesterday. I found an original Spice pencil in the box that has never been used. I thought someone's probably going to break into my house just for that.
Yes, it's going to be me. Well, I'm glad I don't know your. One of the most iconic parts of The Bodyguard, let alone the 90s, is Whitney Houston's breathtaking rendition of I Will Always Love You. The song was a cover. It was originally penned and performed by country music legend Dolly Parton in 1973.
Should stay, thank you. I would only be in your way.
Before The Bodyguard came to be, Elvis wanted to cover the song, but Dolly refused because the Colonel, his manager, wanted the publishing rights. That was Elvis's standard deal. That's a whole nother story. And one little sidetrack fact is this. At the end of the Priscilla movie, do you notice that I Will Always Love You by Dolly Parton is playing? I always thought that was a really cool nod to Priscilla getting her independence back because it's Dolly's version. And I kind of thought it was like Sophia doing a little middle finger work to Elvis there, which I always found to be a nice little touch. Sometimes I think, what would it have been like to hear Elvis's version? But I understand how it all went down. Whitney came along and gave us the ultimate enduring and unforgettable cover that touched the entire world, truly. The song's emotional power and soulful delivery remain inseparable from Whitney and the film's legacy. In this clip, Whitney tells the story of how the song came to be and made history.
I was scared to death going into my first motion picture. The Bodyguard was a heavy deal. We were on a mission searching for songs for The Bodyguard. What would be the song that is going to make this movie tie together? Kevin and I, of course, went through. Kevin's a music lover, so he knows all the old songs, new songs. He loves it. So he kind of went through his little collection, and he came up with songs that he thought were, suitable for the movie. And I had some songs of my own. Well, one day I was in the trailer, and we heard Dolly Parton's song before, and I went by it, because it was a country version, and I really wasn't listening. Kevin brought it back to me in the trailer one day, and he said, "I'm telling you, this is the song." He said, "You must listen to the song." I cleared the trailer, and I listened to the song, and it hit me. I was like, oh, he's so right. I can't go anywhere without singing I'll Always Love You. It's just that song I have to do.
Now that we've heard Valley's side of the story when it came to Whitney's makeup and the origin of I Will Always Love You, the story would not be complete without digging into the creative force behind the film's costume design and that Queen of the Night look. Do you have the Barbie? Susan Nininger, inspired by Fritz Lang's Metropolis and Terry Mugler, she created this unforgettable costume that showcased Rachel Marin's superstardom and power and vulnerability and otherworldliness. In this clip from the official Whitney Houston channel, Susan Nininger reflects on their collaboration and how the costuming came to be.
I don't wanna hurt anymore. Stay
the idea of working with Whitney and Kevin was so exciting to me. Artists who are at the top of their game, and I was going to bring my game to that too. Prior to meeting Mick Jackson for The Bodyguard, I really hadn't worked on a huge film, so this was my lifetime dream. I got a call from the director's assistant saying, Mick loves your work and he'd like to meet with you. So when I went in for the meeting with him, they just started talking to me about the movie. There was actually no interview. It was love at first sight, and it was a great collaboration with them. We brought in a lot of fashion pieces from Europe that wouldn't be seen here in the United States. Everything needed to be very unique to set the character, Rachel, apart from everybody else. Our first conversation with Mick Jackson and Jeffrey Beecroft was about the Queen of the Night costume. And their inspiration for that was the visuals from Metropolis, which is a 1927 German film, and Terry Mugler, who was a designer designing a lot of breastplates, hard pieces incorporated into his fashion designs. We also talked about Whitney and her movements and what would make her feel regal. I have to give it to Whitney always, always, always that these costumes were not easy to wear, but she always pulled it off.
Goodbye, Rachel.
Bye, Frank. If I should stay, I would only be in your way, so I'll go.
You okay?
Yeah, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way.
Wait!
And I will always love you. Will always love you.
That ending scene will always feel like the 90s answer to Casablanca. I still get a lump in my throat right before she asks the plane to stop. I used to play it over and over until the tape started to wear out. Kids these days will call anyone an icon, but Whitney Houston truly is the definition of a true icon. And beyond The Bodyguard, there's so much more to dive into with her, of course. I could talk about her all day. We all could. You know I love hearing from you guys. Tell me about your favorite Bodyguard and Whitney moments, your favorite looks, stories, and I'll share them on my Substack. Until next time.
Don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need.